What up, YouTube? Today we're going to do a part 2 of that relative compression test video, but today we're going to be doing an ignition sync on the second channel so we can tell exactly which cylinder is which while we're performing the test. Stay tuned. Okay, so today's sort of going to be an add-on or part 2 of the relative compression test video that I did a few days ago, and I'll go ahead and link to that at the end of the video. So obviously step 1 is to get out your scope equipment, starting with your screen. If you have a scan tool, then you'll go ahead and get that out, turn it on. Or if you have a PC based oscilloscope, you're going to want to go ahead and get your laptop set up. So I've got all of my scope equipment out here, as well as the scope itself. Thought I would film this job at night this time so that there would be a lot less glare on the screen. You guys can see that really well compared to the last video. And I got my good old hood light out here, so we should be good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and connect the scope to the scan tool here, and you can see that light, and then it goes to the scope automatically when you plug it in. So now what we're going to be doing is a relative compression test, but we're going to sync it up to a particular cylinder. Normally you'd want to do cylinder 1, but cylinder 1's way back there on the back side of the engine, so we're just going to do probably cylinder 6, which is this far right one here on the front, because it's easier to get to. So first I'm going to go ahead and hook up my amp clamp and just run a regular test, just like we did in the first video, just to make sure that everything is hooked up correctly. And I'm also going to do an ignition sync separately as well, just to make sure that that's set up properly, as I'm sure that we'll have to adjust some things in order to get it to look right, just like we did last time. So let's go ahead and get started. And just like last time, we are going to want to disconnect the fuel pump relay so that the vehicle does not start while we're doing this test. And of course we're going to want to crank it until it actually dies, and then we should be good to go. Alright, so in order to do this test, I did have to buy yet another tool or accessory for the scope kit, which is this ignition sync probe. And what it does is it basically hooks onto a spark plug wire, just like that. It looks like it has its own little attenuator built into it. Then it comes with a ground cable just for safety, just to prevent any sort of shock from occurring. Then of course the other end goes into the scope. And so I've got the scope there on my windshield, and luckily the cords on this thing are long enough that I can bring the scan tool inside the vehicle here. So I believe that I have the settings set up properly, and for some reason it was going down. I don't know if I had it on there backwards or what. I flipped it, we'll see. Okay, so it doesn't actually matter if it's on one way or the other. So anyway, every time that line goes up that we're seeing is when the cylinder 6 spark plug is firing. So now we're going to go ahead and set up our amp clamp and do our relative compression test, and we'll be able to see which one is cylinder 6. Alright, so now, just like last time, we've got our amp clamp hooked up, we got it turned on, we got it hooked up to the scope on channel 1, just because the settings should be the same. Went ahead and zeroed it out just for good measure. And now, assuming that everything has stayed the same as far as my settings, we should be able to go ahead and perform the test now. Alright, so here we go. I got my key in the ignition, foot on the gas pedal all the way, cranking now. And that is pretty much exactly what we're looking to see for the most part right there. So now I'm going to hit single sequence. We're going to try to do it and record a screen here. And for some reason the trigger is messed up. Oh, there we go. It just kind of pops up delayed here. So let me adjust the time base a little bit. And we'll go back. All right, so we've actually got a pretty good picture here now. We can see that this blue line is on cylinder 6. So top dead center happens. And then I believe shortly after top dead center is when the spark plug fires, or maybe it's shortly before top dead center actually. So this should be just to the side of one of those peaks, and I'm not sure if it's this one or this one because I'm expecting the line to actually be in the middle of the peak, not in the middle of the dip. However, I do know that this line going up is basically when the spark plug is being, or when the wire is being saturated with the electricity, and when it releases is when it actually goes and fires the plug. So, saying that this one's 6 or this one's 6, it doesn't really matter. If this one's 6, it would be, and I don't know the firing order, I could look it up, but for the example purposes, it doesn't really matter if we go 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we started with the one right before the line. So the one right before the line here again would be cylinder 6 again. So this test will give you an idea of if things are happening in time, and if you have a low cylinder, it can help you kind of determine which one it is to dig in a little further and get some more diagnostic testing done. However, the only thing that looks abnormal to me is where the spark line actually is. If there are any people out there who are watching this that are really good with oscilloscopes and have more experience than I do, perhaps you could explain why those lines are not where I thought they would be. I thought they would be kind of more at the peak there. But ultimately the purpose of this video is to show you how to set up your equipment and to perform this test if this is a test that you need to run. And then of course with lots of experience in doing it, you should be able to do it quicker and quicker each time. That's going to be the end of the video for today, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and a comment below. Also, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps me out quite a bit, and we're trying to hit that 3,000 by the end of the year. Thanks again, and stay tuned for many more videos to come. See you next time.